Welcome back. You tuned into Salam Media, and this is Inspired Afternoons with me, your host, Mariam Mia. And today we celebrating International Literacy Day, which was first declared by UNESCO on the 26th October 1966 as International Literacy Day. Thereafter, in 1967, it was celebrated, and then annually every year it has been celebrated. And the reason for commemorating it annually across the globe is to highlight the importance of literacy as a vital human right and a matter of dignity for individuals and communities the world over. So to help us commemorate and understand World Literacy Day, International World Literacy Day, it's an honor and a privilege to be speaking to Dr. Zaheera Jina Asvat, and she is a writer, an academic, and a mom. She holds a PhD in mathematics education from Wits University, South Africa. She's also the founder of Jozi's Book and Blogs Festival. She's the author of 3 books, Twin Tales, Saffron Collection, and Riding the Samosa Express, as well as the author of Surprise. Furthermore, Dr. Zaheera Jina Asvat is the founder of a program called Stimula Math Program for preschoolers. She resides in Lenasia with her family. So let's welcome Dr. Zaheera let's welcome Dr. Zaheera to the program. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and welcome to Inspired Afternoons on Salam Media, Dr. Zaheera Jina Asvat.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah for having me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. So, I think we have the honor and privilege of having somebody who is, they have equal brain dominance. Normally, it's somebody who is an arts person and they with English and literature and then you'll have a technically minded person, and then they strong in technology, sciences, physics. But with you, you have the complete package because you have both a love for the arts and for English as well as for mathematics. So alhamdulillah, it's good to speak to somebody with a holistic idea, both the sides. I think the brain works equally and optimally as well, Dr. Zaheera. So tell us about international literacy as well as in terms of literacy in South Africa. How are we faring?
Okay, so literacy in South Africa is a bit of a problem in the sense that we've got lots of rural kids that are not reading at their level of reading. They are meant to read like at a higher level and they're not reading at that level. There have been lots of programs that are being implemented to help with that level of education. So literacy is a huge thing. It's a huge thing. We all know about reading. We all know about writing. It's not really done in many homes. And I think that's the reason why we have these days to remind us. It's the same thing as Mother's Day and Valentine's Day, where you are reminded of what your role is.
Okay, but now as parents, what do we do? Is it still important in terms of reading to our children that, the bedtime routine that's included in that bedtime story? How important is it to inculcate the love of reading and understanding what you read from an early age?
Okay, so reading, you have to read with your kids. It's very important. It's important to sit with them and read to them, and you need to develop that culture. Like you say, the bedtime routine. I still do the bedtime routine. I've got a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old and a 2.5-year-old, and we read different books, but we have that bedtime routine. It's very important. It develops their comprehension. Kids learn through reading. They learn through us reading to them. I don't think I've got all boys. I don't think it's such a big thing to get them to read themselves. It's more important for us to let them become critical thinkers, and they can become critical thinkers through us reading to them and discussing the story with them.
Yes, so that's what because you know what, sometimes when we speak about literacy, the focus is maybe on reading only or about reading and comprehension. But for me, to be literate is reading, comprehension, and then analyzing what you have comprehended, and thereafter being able to form an opinion regarding what you have learned, because that's what will make you a positive contributor in society. Is once you've understood the dynamics of what you read, you now need to process it to say, Do I agree? Am I in agreement with what I've comprehended, or this goes against my value and belief system?
Yes, definitely. But it also doesn't come with us speaking to the kid and asking the child, what did you read? Explain it to me, whatever. It comes with through the years with us reading. And you start off with the small ones, you start off with paper books, with hard books. And then it builds up. And you can see, like, through the years, they would start reading more chapter books, books to their level. And you as a parent would know what type of level your child is at. And then obviously then in their conversations with them, they would bring up things from the books that they read to inform their opinions on whatever topic they're discussing.
Okay, and now I want to focus on our, you know what, education is dynamic, it's forever evolving, and our lives as well. Societies are evolving, and nowadays it's not only about literacy in terms of reading and comprehension skills, but now we have digital literacy, and I think COVID-19 has made us realize, especially for adults, in terms of being digitally literate, because now suddenly we were faced with online learning, but to navigate yourself through the online platforms to understand how to use technology. Furthermore, we at the beginning of the what we call what's termed the fourth industrial revolution, and fourth industrial revolution is going to make use of mechanization, and we need to now navigate and train our youngsters also to be digitally literate in terms of how to navigate various multimedia platforms, various social media platforms. Already we can see that they are wired, that you can see a 2-year-old who knows how the YouTube icon and can
Yes.
get to YouTube. But how do we now prepare our children not just for normal literacy, what we call, but actually digital literacy in preparation for the fourth industrial revolution?
It will come. It will come. Like you say, the kids know more than what we know. My 6-year-old has already put me onto YouTube. He created the account and he did everything himself. They know more than what we do. But it also comes with schools. But that doesn't mean that we need to lose the literacy in all of that. That's why I also advocate a lot for Audible, for reading, for listening to books, listening to stories. I think that's very important as well. There's also a lot of digital media that kids can have access to where they can learn, they can use platforms to read. But equipping them, I think it will just come. Kids will just grow the way we had. We've had to just adapt to all these different platforms. I think they would just adapt as well.
Lovely. And now, for somebody who has a flair for reading and writing and yearnings of maybe to author books, because for me, that's another thing which is creative writing, and it seems to be something that just select individuals do, because with the advent of social media platforms, how we communicate has become, words have become just now essentials. So we'll send comments or just emojicons that will represent our words. And the beauty, I'm a wordsmith, so I love how somebody writes. I enjoy a good read, more than the storyline, also how you write a story, the few phrases that you put together, the nuances in the English language, and the appreciation of English literature. So, for somebody who has a flair for reading and writing in terms of becoming an actual writer, and that, what guidance do you have for up and coming author?
Okay, so what we've done recently is I've started a publishing house. I didn't include it in my biography, but
Mm-hmm.
so what we do with this publishing house is we try and engage tween kids. That I'm talking about children between the age of 9 and 16, maybe, in figurative language. And figurative language is teaching them how to dress their words, to make their words more appealing to read, to describe everything that they're reading, but describe it in a more appealing type of way. So we teach them similes and metaphors and personification and how to do the storyboarding and that kind of thing. And from there, what we've done is with our last course that we ran, we took all the stories and we published it into a storybook, into a book called Tween Tales. And those tween tales are stories that have been written by 7 tweens, and it's their own stories. So what I do generally do is I try to mentor upcoming authors into writing. And writing is one thing. You have to have, like, you need to know the skills of writing. You need to know how to storyboard, how to do your chapter outline. You need to know what your story. Every story needs to have something that happens in that story. No one wants to read a story that has nothing in it. No one wants to read us just speaking about ourselves. Something has to happen. Something has to happen, and the main character has to be able to solve that whatever has happened. And that's what we do in our course, and that's what I do with the authors that I'm mentoring. Is I try and explain to them that something needs to happen, and your main character has to have some sort of way of solving it. And it can be anything. You can take, for example, Roald Dahl's book Fantastic Mr. Fox. Fantastic Mr. Fox needed to find food for his family. He used to go out to these farms, to Barnes, Burns, and whoever's farm, and steal from them. And then what happened? When you read a story like that as a child, you'll ask yourself, was Mr. Fox correct, or was the farmers correct? You know what I'm saying? But in the same way, what I'm getting is that every story needs to have something that has happened. It can be a child that's afraid of heights and how that child overcomes that fear. So that's the main thing with writing. And also, a lot of people feel that they can just write. Yes, they can just write, and it's good that people must write, but you have to have the writing skills to equip you in writing in a good way, in a good manner. And then obviously the editing comes afterwards, where you do the grammar edit and that kind of thing.
This is such a wonderful initiative, and I think really commend you on this initiative, especially on World Literacy Day, because we need more writers. And look,
Yes.
writing is part of your literacy journey as well, and really, I'm so excited about this. So you focus on the young tweens, and there's like you say, a book that's published here, and I'd like to one day get you on Educational Insights to discuss this for a longer time. But I'm going to use this word as an educator as well. Dress your words, because this is really, you can just relate to this, especially for those, you love lovely clothes, you love this. So put on a beautiful attire on your words as well. And how
Yes.
long is the course, the duration of the course? It's the once off workshop, or does it go over a couple of weeks? And I'm sure you're doing it online now due to COVID.
Yeah, it's a 20-day mentorship. It's
Mm-hmm.
about 20 to 20, it's 20 minutes a day for our mentorship, and then we take them through the whole writing process of how to get their story done. So we ran it actually. How this actually came about was it before lockdown, when we just got into lockdown in March, at the end of March, what was it, mid March, I put out the call to say that we're going to be doing the screen mentorship. And lots of mummies contacted me. A lot of them were homeschoolers, and they actually wanted to know how can they do this course. And then they did the course. They sat with the kids and did the course with them. And because also there's something called brave writer, and what brave writer advocates for is that the mother can be the scribe. So the mother can sit with the child can discuss the
Oh.
story with the
Mm-hmm.
mother, and they can scribe the story together. Because a lot of thinking is happening there. The mother's not writing the story. The mother is just being the scribe to the story. And a lot of thinking, a lot of creativity comes with that. But Mariam, what I was getting is that we don't have a lot of South African Indian-based authors on the whole. Like we have Shabnam Khan that's Penguin published. We've got Qureisha Dawood, we've got Tasmeen Mohammed, but we don't have many. And if you look at, there's so many in South Africa at the moment. There's a lot of upcoming authors, and these upcoming authors are they're writing our type of stories, what we want to read, general stories, what we want to read. And I think it's important to actually hone these kids from an early age to say, we all have a story. We all can take that story, an adventure that we've been on or whatever, and make something happen in that story and let somebody read that story. And at the same time, we all have personal narratives as well. We all have stories to tell. We've all been through some sort of thing, and that's where my books came about, where I did Writing the Samosa Express and Saffron, where I got Muslim women to tell their stories, because we all have a story. So it's important to tell your story. It's important for us to tell our stories and get our stories written.
And Zaira, you're such a visionary in that sense, because we're reading stories that, yes, you might learn about them. We enjoy the read. We love how it's written, but many a times we can't relate to it because it's not part of our personal experience. And
Yes,
then
yes,
came along a book like Saffron Collection, and I know I've interviewed few authors about 2 years ago. And I was just so enlightened reading, because in every story there was an aspect where I could relate to it, from the 40 cups of roti, or was it 20 cups of roti, to
true.
the one about the curry khichdi, to I'm just trying to now think back about all the little stories, but every story I could see my life in it, and I could
True.
relate to it. And yes, the samosa run, it still happens today. We might be
Yeah.
in 2020, but it still happens that boys come and see girls. there's proposals, wrapping up. There's a wrapping up day, and then yes, uh, there is the samosa. At every time there's a proposal, the obligatory samosa and tea is there. So
Yes,
it was so nice and refreshing that we could read books that we could relate to, and it will be lovely for young authors that can write books that whoever's reading it can relate directly to the story, whether it's a geographic relationship or it's some way in terms of an event like Eid or Ramadan or something like that, where children or teenagers can relate to, this was happening, or it happened in Lenasia or in Durban or at the beachside that we know, Cape Town, Durban. So, like you say, it's important that we write
yes,
as well accounts unique to a South African Indian Muslim community as well, because it's
yes,
needed. And I think you being a visionary and a pioneer in this field, I'm looking forward to many collaborations and continue reading books which we can relate to as a community. Jazakallah for joining us
yes.
today. And I think I couldn't think of anybody better to get than Dr. Zaheera Jina Asvat to commemorate International Literacy Day. Jazakallah for your time, and
MashaAllah.
inshallah, hoping to chat to you in the future, as well as a new educational insight for your math program, as well as your mentorship of young authors. Assalamu
Can I just say,
alaikum.
can I just say one more thing? So when we talk about also our cultural stories, Shafina's Hassan writes very good stories for tweens and teens, where she actually brings in the culture. And her new book about its author about abundance and gratitude. It's a really, really good book for our tweens and teens to read. But we
Yes,
need
Sister
more of this.
Shafina is one of our presenters here on
She,
Salam Media, and a very valuable contributor as well here. And I think, look, Sister Zaira, Salam Media, the platform is here. So if there's any way that you're looking for a platform in terms of your mentorship programs, getting more young authors in that here, this is what we can provide. So this platform is available as well for
Jazakallah.
you and
Thanks.
anybody that's interested. So Jazakallah for your time, much appreciated. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam. Jazakallah for having me. Thanks.
That was Dr. Zahira, and my apologies. That was Dr. Zaheera Jina Asvat, and we were discussing International Literacy Day. So, in order to celebrate today, International Literacy Day, for those of you who didn't realize what it was, when the children, they're at home now, or if they have started school on this day, maybe this evening, let's get one book and get everybody around, and let everybody read something from somebody's favorite books. So if you have a favorite that has been sitting in your bookshelf, take it out, blow off the dust, and let them partake in there. I know I have many favorites from my youth day, from my adult day, and I think one of my all-time favorites is the one of the travels of Ibn Battuta. I love traveling and how he wrote and described the travels of Ibn Battuta. So I think I'm going to take out my Ibn Battuta, the travels of Ibn Battuta today, and in the Mia household, we all going to indulge in a page each of Ibn Battuta. So please let me know tomorrow. You can send us on our WhatsApp line. Please let me know what book your family indulged in today in celebration of International Literacy Day. Let's go for a short break. And when we get back, we're going to be speaking to Socially Acceptable founder and CEO Nazreen Ibrahim.